Hi, I'm Tracy Barnes-Priestley. This week on What's on Your Bucket List, it's a dream come true for our first guest when she gets behind the wheel of a very special truck. And then, stay tuned to watch our second guest take to the skies over Humboldt for a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Coming up next on What's on Your Bucket List. Here with Nancy Kavanaugh, and I have a feeling this is going to be a fun one. Nancy, what are we checking off your bucket list?
I want to be the tillerman on a fire truck.
Now, when I read your application and I saw that tillerman, and I had no idea what it was, I had to look it up. So would you please explain for the audience exactly who the tillerman is?
The tillerman is the guy who sits in that little cab at the back of the hook and ladder truck.
With the wheel.
With the wheel.
Yeah. Well, I think, are there any kids around who have not seen that guy and looked at that guy and thought, I want to do so?
None that I know of.
Right, so you're our big kid for the day.
Yes, I am.
From what you were telling me in our pre-production interview, you got to know fire personnel pretty in a previous job, previous career.
Previous life.
Previous life.
Yes. I've worked emergency trauma at Cedars-Sinai and at UCLA, and did my 6-month stint as the liaison with the fire department.
Oh, you did?
So yeah, we did ride-alongs and got to see what they really do.
Yeah, that must have been fascinating.
It was.
Yeah. This isn't a quantum leap for you. What do you do in your spare time?
I do autocross.
Explain that, please.
Autocross is racing against the clock, trying to get your best time down on a course that frequently changes.
And how did you even start that? Where did that come from?
I don't know, I've always been, I guess, a speed demon and always into cars and building cars. Yeah. And that started when I was in high school.
Really? Building cars?
Working on engines, yes.
Yeah. So you started working on cars in what way?
Well, this was down in Southern California in Long Beach at Lyons Drag Strip. And I was the math nerd, so I would do the math and figure out what was the optimum size jet to be running in the car so we could get the best time. And then from there, I talked them into letting me drive the car on the drag strip.
Yeah.
When I finally won my heat,
I
got disqualified.
Why?
Because I was a girl.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
I did.
What year would that have been? Can you
That
remember?
would have been like 1965.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
Yeah.
You won the heat.
I did.
Oh.
I took the division. My mistake was taking my helmet off.
Well, okay. I think we've waited long enough. I think we need to get you up in the up behind the wheel.
Yes.
We'll hope the sun comes out. It's trying. And we're going to go out to Redwood Acres, where we're going to meet Station 1 and the crew. So let's go, shall we?
Okay, let's.
Okay. At Redwood Acres, we were met by Scott Gordonera, the engineer who drives the fire truck, and Jared Hugh, the tillerman and Nancy's teacher for the day. First, Scott explained how the truck functions.
It takes 2 people to operate this piece of equipment. So as the driver of the front, I'm kind of in charge and responsible for the safety of the apparatus. I have a steering wheel that controls where we go, gas pedal, brake pedal, just like your car. And then the tiller operator in the back there is responsible for operating and steering this rear axle that you see behind you. So that allows us to go around corners that are really tight and get into weird alleyways and stuff, because the primary function of this ladder truck is to make rescues and to get to the roof to cut holes in the roof for fires. We here on the truck don't really actually use the hose at all. We have axes and chainsaws and tools where we are in charge of opening the door for the engine crew to get the engine crew in if it's locked. We're in charge of looking in the fire and rescuing people, and then of course cutting holes in the top. So the ladder goes 100 feet in the air, and it can get us to meet that objective depending on where it might be. It could be a 2-story Victorian, or it could be the jail downtown that's five stories tall. So
Yeah.
Well, all right, good introduction.
yeah.
Yeah,
Shall we get you going here?
I'm ready.
Excellent.
I'm ready.
Scott took us on a safety tour of the truck and explained his responsibilities as the engineer, which includes communicating everything he observes to his tillerman.
Because from your position, you'll have an excellent view of the sides, but not a very good view of what's actually in front of us. So that's my job. So at any point and any time throughout our driver's training today, if you see something that you think maybe I don't see, like anything, a person, a dog, an obstruction, a car, just be like, hey, do you see that car to the left? And I'll be like, I see it, no problem. Or I'll be like, oh, I don't see it. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. And I'll do the same to you. So just me and Jared having a very, very open line of communication, and the whole time we're talking the whole way. And then of course, if you're uncomfortable or you feel like things aren't going well, just say stop, and I'll stop.
Oh, that's
all
not
you gotta
gonna
say.
happen.
Okay, I didn't think it would, but if it does.
Next, Jared showed Nancy the safest way to climb into the cab and then explained the basic responsibilities of the tiller operator.
So to go over a couple of the components in the tiller cab, you have your steering wheel, which obviously is pretty self-explanatory. You have an array of switches up here that are for lights primarily, and windshield wiper. This is an indicator up here that shows you if your tractor or the tiller portion is in line with the tractor portion, because this turns multiple times, and if you turn back, it can still be turning and you won't know. So this helps with that indication. So the first thing I was told is to not over tiller. So like my natural instinct when I first got in here is to do 2 full turns when we're going around.
And you don't really need to.
You don't. A lot of times you don't even need to turn the wheel. This is the tricky part. When he turns right, you go left.
Oh, I know that.
Do you have any questions?
No,
No? All right.
I want to drive.
You want to drive?
Nancy made herself comfortable behind the wheel and put on her headset. Scott ran her through the final checklist.
I'm checking the cameras to make sure there's no one.
Cool.
I do have somebody on my left side walking.
Thank you. That's perfect. And I believe those are our people. You have both your doors shut out there?
I do.
Cool. And so I'll always make sure our doors are shut, make sure there's nothing in front of us, and then I double check with my crew in the cab that everyone's buckled, which they are.
I'm buckled.
Cool. You ready?
Ready.
Okay, we're gonna start rolling.
Oh my God, here we go.
All right. You're officially driving the back of the tiller truck. Sweet. So what we're gonna start out here is we're gonna be doing, not quite yet, but in a minute here, we'll be doing a nice right-hand turn.
All right.
So
I'm gonna go left.
yeah, and we're gonna start our turn here in about another 30 feet. So I'm gonna start turning right here. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Nice work. Are you familiar? You see this pole up here on the right?
Yeah.
That's our main obstruction, so we're gonna go around that pole.
Okay.
You're doing a really good job so far. Excellent. And then of course we're gonna have a fence up here on our left, so don't swing too far over.
Got it.
Perfect. Sweet. And so that right there is a nice, easy U-turn. And so you can straighten out. So you're kind of crapping to the left there.
I'd see that. I'd see that.
So just kind of bring your steering wheel back to straight. There you go. It takes a minute. Perfect. How are we feeling?
Great. This
Is
is
it everything
fun.
you ever thought it would be?
It is. It's better.
Yeah,
It's better.
we're going to be hiring some new firefighters soon, so.
I think I'm over the age limit.
I don't think so. I think you can throw in an application for this. Yeah. Okay, so here comes another right-hand turn, already.
Okay.
So as we approach a structure fire, let's just say a house on fire, we're going to be constantly looking for our personal safety first, because if we get hurt, we can't help anyone. And then we're going to be looking for obstruction. So if we want to put this our big ladder up to the roof, perfect. You can start straightening out right now. So bring your wheel back center there. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna do a left turn. So you're gonna swing just to the right a bit. Just nice and gentle. You need to do more than probably an hour and a half, one full turn.
Next, Scott had Nancy try crab steering, which is a very useful maneuver when changing lanes in tight traffic.
Now, steer to your left. Steering wheel all the way to the left. Two turns to the left. There you go. And so I have the cameraman here. I'm sure he'll get out of the way, but just heads up if you're on the left-hand side. Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Very.
Pretty interesting view, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing what you can see.
I know, pretty wild. All right, excellent work.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're doing better than we expected, so we thought we'd give you
I'm
the
doing better than I
challenge.
expected.
Finally, Nancy tried a careful maneuver steering in between cones.
Do you see that? See that?
I do.
Excellent. Okay. So we're passing a cone on my left, and I'm going to start moving over to our left. Okay. And perfect. Then can you see? You'll see it just here in a second. The cone on our right.
Yes, I see
Okay.
it.
So I'm going to swing right, which means you need to swing just a bit left. Not too much left, but just enough right. Beautiful. That was excellent. That was perfect. So now look in your left hand. Can you see the next cone?
I see it.
Perfect. So I think you know what to do. That one didn't go as well, but that's okay. That's why we practice with cones. Anyway, excellent work. I think mission accomplished, and you're definitely an honorary part of our fire department.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully you had a good time.
I had a fabulous time.
Wonderful.
This is amazing.
Good.
And there she is, the newest tiller person.
Best ride ever.
Was it?
Yes.
Was it really?
amazing?
Ta-da!
It was great. It was great.
All right.
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Come here.
It
What
was
did you
so
think
much
of
fun. You're right. You really don't need to be turning that with every turn. You can kind of feel where it needs to go. I hit one cone.
You did. We had one casualty, but that was quite a maneuver, weaving in and out of there.
That was the easiest part.
Was it really?
It was.
No,
it
was
was
the hard part.
Great.
No.
Yeah.
It was. I had a good teacher.
Well,
It was awesome.
you've checked it off your bucket list. What would you say to other people?
Oh, you got to do it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank these guys for a wonderful
thank you.
experience.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We loved having you. So.
Yeah.
It's great.
It was
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. I need
Yes.
a hug. It was great. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
All righty.
But now I want to do the ladder.
To watch this and other episodes, go to KEET.org.
What's on your bucket list?
We're going to have some fun on this segment, and I have to thank our guest, Peter Casera, for that. Welcome to What's on Your Bucket List.
Thank you.
What are we checking off today, Peter? What are we doing here?
We're going on a flight over Humboldt Bay.
That's right. And I have to say that here in season 3, we get this request maybe more than anything else that people want to do. So thank you. We're gonna take you up in this lovely little craft. I'm curious about where your love of flying began. What got you started with this?
Ooh, from early childhood.
Really?
I think my parents took me up in a DC-3 when I was 7 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I got a glimpse in the cockpit of a DC-3. And then we lived near Otis Air Force Base on
And
Cape
where's-
Cod.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I heard the first sonic booms going over, and we went to the open house every summer.
So you really grew up with this as part of your DNA almost.
Yes.
Yeah. Why this for your bucket list? Why flying over Humboldt County? What is the intrigue?
My son Riley has a very good flight simulator, with an excellent view of Humboldt, which he has flown out of many times. And the second reason is I've had one extraordinary view of Humboldt Bay from the air, but unfortunately it was from the air ambulance bringing me to Redding, California.
But you enjoyed the view in spite of the circumstances?
It was at sunset, and it brought me out of my situation for a brief moment.
What a good point. It was a distraction of the best kind.
And I've been wanting to see that view in another circumstance ever since.
Well, we're about to make that happen. That's just wonderful. Shall we get you up in the air?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. This entire experience would not have been possible without the help of pilot Dave Marshall, who was also the faculty advisor for the Aviation Club of Cal Poly Humboldt. What is it about flying that it's grabbed you clearly? What is it?
When you fly a plane, all you can do is fly the plane. My first instructor said every takeoff and landing is a maximum effort maneuver, and it's the focus to the exclusion of all else. So you can't be thinking about other things, and that focus is really what draws me to this.
Yeah, and what's it like up there when you're...
You know, it's different things for different people. A lot of people call it freedom, but the reality is it's a time machine. You can go places a lot faster. It creates a dynamic. There's no police cars that can pull you over.
Interesting,
So I can go to the Bay Area at 160 miles an hour, and that's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's a little different from those of us on the ground.
Yeah, we just did some flight planning, and it's an hour and 45 minutes from here to Oakland International, so that's nice.
So you can just scoot on down there for the day?
Yeah, I go to Palo Alto, the airport in Palo Alto by Stanford University. That's where my mother-in-law lives, and so I'll go down and have lunch and then come home.
How wonderful. Well, I want to thank you because this, as I said, this has been one that a lot of people have requested in the 3 seasons of the show. So you are finally the man who's making it happen. I think we should get Peter up in the air. Earlier, at the Cal Poly Humboldt Flight Simulator, Dave helped Peter get prepared by giving him a thorough explanation of the many facets of flying. He went over the physics of flying, how a plane actually flies, instruments and how they're used, the weather, navigation, and even airport fees. It was a great intro to flying. And then it was time to get Peter up in the air.
Howdy.
And what are you going to do now?
So let's go do a pre-flight together. We'll walk around the plane and do all of the inspections we do before we start the engine.
All right.
All right, I'll get out of your way. Dave took Peter on a walk around of the plane to make sure it was in proper condition to fly.
So we completed our walk around. Everything was great. So I think it's time for us to go flying.
All set.
Have a great flight.
Thank you.
Enjoy the ride.
There are no silly questions in Little Airplane, so if there's anything that you're interested in that you want to ask about, feel free to ask anything. But you're part of the crew, and as part of the crew, if you see something outside the plane, you're going to say something. We're flying in a VFR area, that means visual flight rules, which means we need to see where we're going. We need to pay attention to what's outside. So you're part of the crew.
Okay.
Dave then went through detailed checklists before and after turning on the plane.
So now I'm ready to taxi, and to taxi, I'm going to look to the left and look to the right, make sure everything's clear. Ready to taxi, so here we go. Remember in the sim I was driving with my feet, so now I'm going to step on the left pedal and turn to the left. So we're going to take off into the wind. You always take off and land into the wind. So I got my checklist here, and I've done my start checklist. So now I'm going to do, as we're rolling towards the end of the runway, I'm going to do some other checks. Like we did in the simulator, I'm going to make sure everything works as it should. All right, did the flight controls. I've done my avionics. I have my lights on. We've shut the door. The baggage compartment is closed. I've set my radios. All right, traffic, 68 Mike. Mooney departing at 30, and we're going straight out to the beach today. Murray? And here we go. All right, the plane really wants to turn to the left, but I'm stepping on that right rudder really hard. I make sure my airspeed indicator starts to come up. and that's working. And also I have oil pressure. So we're getting close to rotation speed, which in this plane is right in here someplace. Go. I want to let my plane speed up a little bit. Put up the landing gear. Put the flaps away. And then I'm going to pull the power back to something called takeoff power, which is a little less RPM and a little less manifold pressure. So we're going to go up to the beach, and then we're going to take a right and fly down the beach. All right, we're up to our cruising altitude of 2,000 feet above sea level.
And then Peter's dream finally came true.
So this is where you can fly the plane, if you'd like. So what you want to do is you want to pick a place that's out there in front of us, way out there on the hillside, and that's what you're aiming for. You also want to remember what it looks like. So if it looks like this, we're going up. And if it looks like this, we're going down. So you want to get a sight view that looks correct and try to maintain that sight view. So the way the pilots hand the planes off is I'm flying it right now, so I say to you, you've got the plane. And you acknowledge that by saying, I've got the plane, in which case I let go. And if you want to give it back to me, you say, you've got the plane, and I'll say, I've got the plane. So it's a practice. You've got the plane. I've got the plane. There you go. So you're flying. All right. So now you want to turn to the left, and we're going to go back the way we came. So turn to the left and keep turning, and we're going to fly around the edge of the bay. Perfect. Try to keep that tilt. We're doing excellent, by the way. We're holding altitudes. The outside is looking good.
Plane responds really well. Do another turn?
Yeah, but we're going to go down a little further because there's a Coast Guard helicopter right behind us that's going to be working at the airport behind us, and I don't want to get into their space. Yeah, the three-dimensional situational awareness is important. It's not only that you have to look at the weather that's outside, you have to look at the other aircraft and anything on the ground. And you also have to consider the wind, too. So all of these things are considerations when you decide where to put your airplane. But you're doing an excellent job. We've descended a little bit. You're about 300 feet lower than when we started. So if you bring the nose up just slightly, so it's right about a little bit more higher, the nose. Right about there, that's perfect. And that's climbing at about 100 feet a minute. So in 2 or 3 minutes, we'll be back up to where we were at. So you can roll that trim wheel backwards slightly, and that'll bring the nose up slightly. All right, so we want to go right over the middle of the town of Eureka. We want to stay away from the Samoa airport, which is out there where the smokestacks are, because there's a Coast Guard helicopter that's operating over there. We really want to be up to the left. So you can see where the edge of the bay is, right?
Yep.
You see the trees that are right on the edge of the bay?
Yep.
At this end of those line of trees, that's where the airport is. So that's what you want to aim for. All right, so I want to put a little bit of the throttle, a little bit of power, and I'm going to start setting the plane up for landing. We're going to need to descend. So what I'd like to do is start flying the plane down so I can set up the plane for landing. I've got the plane.
I've got the plane.
All right, so then you let go. Good job, though.
Thank you.
Dave slowed the plane's speed, engaged the flaps, and then lowered the landing gear.
So now we got the gear out. I'm going to check to make sure the gear is down. And we have a green light here, so the gear is down and locked.
Seatbelt secure.
Murray traffic, 68 Mike, go right down. So now I'm turning, so I'm parallel to the runway, but actually flying away from the runway, and we're going to turn right a couple more times and line up for the runway. The other thing I'm doing is I'm trying to get the plane to slow down to my approach speed, and in this airplane the approach speed is 80. So I'm going at 85 now, but I'm also going to turn right a couple more times to get over to the runway that's over there. There you are. The object is to not break the plane.
Welcome back to Earth. How was it? It looked amazing.
Was tremendous.
Was it?
I got to fly.
You got to fly. You were actually not like the simulator. You were.
Nope.
Really? What was that like?
On heaven. I'm in heaven over Humboldt Bay.
Was it gorgeous?
It was gorgeous. Yes. So I just grabbed control and he said, point at something in the distance, and I kept it really level. And
Wow, you did it!
yep.
You did it. Well, congratulations. You've now flown a plane. Are you glad you checked it off your bucket list, Peter?
I am very glad.
Yeah. Well, thank you. As I said, I think this is a segment a lot of people are going to enjoy. So thank you so much for the idea. Glad to have you. To watch this and other episodes, go to KEET.org.
What's on your bucket list?